Hey guys, this is going to be a video reviewing topic 15 practice test. So if you have your math book, that's great. We're going to get started. If you do not have your math book, please go get it, and then you'll be able to follow along and correct your work as we go. We're going to start on page 839. This was a short chapter, so our practice test was only 2 pages. I'm just going to pull it up on my end. Okay. If you have any questions as we go through this, just let me know and I'm happy to help. You could also ask anyone who's been helping you with classwork at home. Number 1, Sari's friend told her that he drew a quadrilateral with all sides the same length. Sari said the shape must be a square. Is she correct? Well, we know that there are 2 quadrilaterals that have equal sides. So the answer is no. It could also be a rhombus. All right, so the answer is C. Number 2, use the words in the box below. Write the names for the shapes in the correct columns. Okay, so the words that we had to use were rectangle, rhombus, square, and trapezoid. So quadrilateral means any shape with 4 sides and 4 angles. A parallelogram means that it has to have 2 sets, right? Left and right, top and bottom, that are parallel. So, Belle, no thank you. She's playing with her squeaky ball. All right, so a quadrilateral. So under quadrilateral, you should have written square, rectangle, trapezoid, and rhombus. All 4 of those are quadrilaterals. Now, a parallelogram means that it has to have 2 sets of parallel sides. So in other words, we know that one of those only has 1 set of parallel sides. So the words that should have been underneath parallelogram should have been square, rectangle, and rhombus. A trapezoid only has 1 set of parallel sides. Okay, number 3. Name and draw a picture of a concave polygon with 4 sides. So remember, a concave polygon means that it needs to look like it was poked in, right? And it had to have 4 sides. So an example of one that I might have drawn is something that looks kind of like a boomerang, right? It kind of looks like this, and then inside the same type of thing, and it almost looks like a lightning bolt. Okay, if you have a question on whether or not something you drew was a quadrilateral, just let me know and I can look at it for you. Okay. Again, remember 4 sides, and it had to look like it was poked in at some point. Okay. Number 4. Rose drew a parallelogram with 4 right angles. What are the possible shapes it could be? So parallelogram tells us that it has to be parallel on the left and right and the top and the bottom. And then 4 right angles, we know a right angle is a square corner. And so the possible shapes for number 4 are a square or a rectangle. Now remember, it said possible shapes, which basically suggests to us that we have to write all the correct answers. So if you only wrote a square or you only wrote a rectangle, make sure you fix that because it needs to be both. Okay, number 5. Elliot sorted the shapes below into 2 groups. He then circled only the shapes that fit a rule for one of the groups. What rule did Elliot use to circle some of the shapes? So if we can see, he circled the blue one, the orange one, the purple one, and the green one. So what I'm noticing is that there are 3 shapes that have 4 sides, and there's 1 shape that has 3 sides. So it doesn't look like it's anything about sides. And if we look, then usually the next thing to look at after sides would be angles. So if we look at the angles, the blue shape has a right angle, the orange shape has a right angle, the purple shape has a right angle, and the green shape has a right angle. So it could be that all of those shapes have a right angle. Now, we're not sure yet until we check the ones that were not circled. So the yellow one does not have a right angle, and the red one does not have a right angle. So one of the things that I notice is that the ones that are circled have at least one right angle. Now, if you think you found something else in common with those shapes, please feel free to ask me and let me know, because it's possible you found something different, but my answer would be the ones that are circled have at least one right angle. All right, so number 6, choose all true statements. So this is really important because we know that on our test, if it asks us to choose all of the ones that are correct, if we only choose some of them, it'll only give us partial credit. So let's go through them one at a time and figure out if we should color it in or not. So the first one says, a trapezoid is a parallelogram. Well, we know that a parallelogram has 2 sets of parallel sides and a trapezoid has only one. So the first one is not true. Do not color it in. The second one says a parallelogram is a quadrilateral. Well, it is a type of quadrilateral because it has 4 sides. So the second one is true. You can color it in. Number 3, a square is a rhombus. Well, we know that that is true because a rhombus means 4 equal sides and a square has 4 equal sides. So number 3 is true. You can color it in. Number 4, a triangle is a quadrilateral. Well, we know quadrilateral means 4 sides, and we know triangle means 3 sides. Tri means 3, so 3 angles, 3 sides. So the fourth one is not correct. Do not color it in. The last one says a square is a rectangle. Well, we know a rectangle has 2 sets of parallel sides, the left and the right, and the top and the bottom. So a square has that. We know that a rectangle also has 4 right angles or 4 square corners, and a square has that. We know it's a parallelogram, and we know it's quadrilateral, and a square is also all of those things, and so the last one is correct. So the second one, the third one, and the last one should have been colored in on your paper. Okay, let me pull up the next page, and we are now going over page 840. Okay. Number 7, what 2 quadrilaterals did Kim use to make the rug design? Okay, well, if you're looking at the ones on the right-hand side, the green and the blue, well, we know that those are parallelograms. They're not squares, they're not rectangles, they don't have square corners, but we do see 2 sets of parallel sides. So the first quadrilateral that Kim used was a parallelogram. So now we need to figure out what's the other one. So if we're looking on the left-hand side, the purple shape and the orange shape, we can see that they have 1 set of parallel sides, the top and the bottom, but they do not have 2 sets. And we know that the only quadrilateral with 1 set of parallel lines is a trapezoid. So the answer to number 7 is trapezoid and parallelogram. Number 8, look at each group. Okay, how are the 2 groups alike? That's important because sometimes they ask us how they're different. So let's see. If we look at sides and angles. So let's look at sides first. Group 1, they are all quadrilaterals. They have 4 sides. Group 2 is also 4-sided shapes, which means they are also quadrilaterals. So you could say that the shapes in both groups are quadrilaterals. So you could say that they have 4 sides and they have 4 angles. Now, let's look and see if there's anything else that we see that's the same. Well, none of them are a trapezoid. And so what that tells us is that they're all parallelograms. They all have 2 sets or 2 pairs of parallel sides, the top and the bottom, and the left and the right. Excuse me. We can also see that they all have opposite sides that are the same length, okay? So you could also say that they have at least 2 sides that are the same length, okay? Either the left and the right or the top and the bottom. Any of those would be correct answers. It would be even better if you had all of them. But remember, the first thing that we usually look at are sides. The second thing would be angles to see if they all had right angles. Excuse me. And then you'll be able to kind of find your answer that way. Now, part B says, how are the groups different? So this is important that we read the directions because now we're looking at how they're different. So if we look at sides, we already said that they were all quadrilaterals, so we know sides isn't going to help us there. If we look at angles, okay, we can see that group 1 does not have right angles and group 2 does have right angles. You could also say that group 2 has 4 angles that are the same, and group 1 does not have 4 angles that are the same. Okay, let's see. Bell stop. All right, number 9. For questions 9A through 9D, choose yes or no to tell if a square belongs to the named group. So if we remember what a square looks like, we know that it's 4 equal sides. We know that it's 4 right angles. We know that it's quadrilateral. It has 4 sides and 4 angles. We know that it has 2 sets of parallel sides. The left and the right are parallel, and the top and the bottom are parallel. So let's see if that matches any of these. So 9A, rectangle, yes. 9B, rhombus, yes. 9C, trapezoid, only 1 set of parallel sides, no. 9D, parallelogram, yes. So for number 9, your answers should be 9A, yes. 9B, yes. 9C, no. 9D, yes. All right, number 10, we're almost done. Whose shape has only 1 set of parallel sides? Well, we know that the only quadrilateral to have 1 set of parallel sides is a trapezoid. Melissa's is a square. Nigel's is a parallelogram. Rami's is a rhombus. Definitely a parallelogram, but might be a rhombus. And Pat's is the only one that's a trapezoid. So the answer to number 10 is Pat's. All right, number 11. So this is one of the ones where it's a drawing. So as long as you can identify a shape, that's mostly what I care about, since you won't be drawing on your online test, but you do need to be able to recognize and identify the various types of shapes. So it says, name and draw a quadrilateral that is not a rectangle or rhombus. So in other words, it has to be a different type of shape, and they wanted to know if you could draw more than one shape. So the answer is whether you could have drawn more than one shape, and the answer is yes. Okay, there were 2 choices. One of the choices you could have drawn was a trapezoid. Okay, a trapezoid only has 1 set of parallel sides, so it would not be a rectangle and it would not be a rhombus. But you could have also have drawn a parallelogram with no right angles, okay, and opposite sides with different lengths, okay? So in other words, it would not be a rectangle because it would not have right corners, and it would not be a rhombus because the left and the right are the same size, length, and the top and the bottom are the same, but the top and the left, for instance, are different, okay? So, you had to draw it. If you have any questions, I would look in your book, or you can send me a picture. But your answer should have been yes. There were 2 choices, parallelogram and trapezoid. If you guys have any questions about anything on the Topic 15 reteaching or the Topic 15 practice test, please let someone at home know or let me know so that we can help you before you start your test. I'm now going to post your Topic 15 test on Pearson. You may take it whenever you're ready. I ask that it be done by next Tuesday so I can start putting it in the gradebook. If you have any questions, if you're not able to log in, please let me know. Remember, the Pearson tests don't have a password on them. They will just pop up in your to-do list, okay? Before you take it, you should make sure that all your quick checks are done as well. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you guys are doing really well, and I miss you. Bye.